From some of the issues and kinds of things we normally talk about here, want to ask you to feel free to call in any questions, any comments that you have about anything we're going to be discussing. The number is area code 928-854-5687. We have on the phone with us right now Frank Walter. He is in Alaska and certainly very much a wilderness man. And not only him, but his entire family as well. If you wouldn't mind just giving us kind of a general perspective about your background and that decision you made to kind of leave New Jersey, where you were born, and go to Alaska.
Well, I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, Roger, and your listeners. I was born in Hackensack, New Jersey, but that was when I had no choice about that. Then we moved to a farm when I was 6, and after that, I did a lot of odd jobs. I worked in factories, I worked in mills, sawmills. I moved to a rural area in the north central Pennsylvania, and finally out to the mines in Butte, Montana before I came to Alaska. They're all shut down. I was down to almost 4,000 feet underground. But there's an experience I really value. It taught me some insight that unfortunately a lot of people wouldn't like to do, but it's something I'll never forget. And the way I've earned a living all these years, I've been primarily a trapper. I started when I was 12 years old. I'm also a registered big game guide, and I'm a prospector. This is what I've done, and I raised her family. I delivered 2 of her kids at home, and I was the attending physician. We live a subsistence life, and I still live, even though I'm semi-retired, 115 miles off the Parks Highway on the Cantuster River.
Now I wonder, when you're kind of isolated like that with the family, and you raise 4 sons as well. What about, like, if something happens, some kind of accident or whatever? How far away is the hospital, and how do you manage to get that resolved?
Well, over the years, we've lived in a variety of places because I chased this dream of mine all over the country. And we had, back in the old days, we had an HF radio, high frequency, that would work intermittently. And back in the old days, they used to have like a round-robin circuit that they would try to hit these different points from Fairbanks. And when weather, if the atmospheric conditions going to really isolate you, and there's nothing you could do about it then. And even today, with the modern hookup they have with satellites, it's not 100% reliable. And right now, I'm talking to you on a cell phone, but I have a 30-foot tower, a Yagi antenna, a Wilson booster, and a Wilson flat-based kind of dome thing. And I have to sit right in front of it. I'm 3 feet away to be able to speak to you. But I'm able to do it because of technology.
That's actually pretty good. What about, do you get any television reception there of any kind?
No, we have movies, and I keep posted on things with radio, because radio has been my main ability to keep touch with the rest of the world. We have a good radio setup. I listen to shortwave, where you have the world at your fingertips, and it gives me insight that, unfortunately, in our modern society, it's so like a rat race chasing your tail, and so much of it has lost touch with the natural elements of life. This was my calling to move out. And this book, while it's in a novel format, if we have a major problem, be it financial, this describes a terrorist attack of an old-fashioned atomic bomb, Hiroshima type of technology, 60-year-old technology. And we couldn't build it. Are you familiar with Bill Wattenberg from KGO?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, he's a nuclear physicist. And he's been on there on KGO now, and I think on the weekend. I haven't heard of him in quite a while. But while they were in a conclave of nuclear physicists, him and his buddies said, well, could we get the components to build an old primitive Hiroshima bomb? And they went out for a few hours, come back, and he said, guess what? You can do it. You can't arm it. But if you have the right welders, machinists, my son's a skilled mechanic. I mean, they say about, he lives in Inanna, Alaska, and he flies, and he goes out to remote mines. They talk about him like, if you can break it, he can fix it. And I'll say he's going to make a primitive, the cannon-type apparatus just used for the Hiroshima bomb. But the point is, someone with his skills, given the right components, and the point is they were readily available. They came back, and it scared them. This is a lot of years ago. And I'm not trying, look, I'm so anti the jihadist movement, but I believe we have been lulled to sleep. I want to knock people out of their comfort zone, and people don't like that. Well, they can call me the doctor of doom or whatever. That's all right. I just want to tell them the truth, and I hope they can deal with it.
What is the truth that you're talking about right now, specifically?
Okay, right now, I believe there will be a terrorist attack. I don't agree with our policies in Iraq or Afghanistan. I never would have put a boot on the ground, but I'd have beat their military possibilities into the ground. But there were no Iraqis or Afghanis on 9/11. The money come out of some Saudi money. And right now, who are we chasing? A bunch of people in caves? They look at us as an occupational force. And if I was an Afghani and my mother or father or sister or brother was killed accidentally, I would not be a person you'd want to deal with or turn your back on, because I would be after you with a blood vengeance. And these people are skilled and have a long history of a blood vengeance, and I think we have. I just don't agree with so much. I mean, I agree with them. That's not the point. I believe this will happen. I knew it 30 years ago. And people go, how would I know 30 years ago? This isn't a religious program, but I looked at chapter 18 of the book of Revelation, and it points out an all-powerful economic force. The main force. We still are. We still are the driving force economically. And if you read that over, you'll see where there's only one place in all of human history where all nations come together, the United Nations, where all nations trade. And to top it off, there are more Jewish people in New York City than any place else on the face of the earth other than Israel. And if people can't see that reality, I'd be willing to argue with it. I mean, where else? It's not Moscow, it's not Paris, it's not London, it's not Peking. What place? There's only one New York City that's ever existed in the history of mankind. And that's just a fact. This is blunt, straightforward talk, but I want to knock people out of their comfort zone. I really do, and I want to wake them up. I mean, if they don't like it, I'll try harder, because I believe it's. Look, I'm an old man. I'm 72 years old. I had a kidney taken out for kidney cancer last summer. I have my own property. I own it, but I don't have much money. A little bit of money in the bank, but I don't need this. I felt I had to do it. I mean, I'm not a prophet.
Not to use a pun, but are you a voice crying in the wilderness, so to speak? I mean, literally here, right?
Well, in a way, I'm no prophet, and I'm not trying to. I just read the scripture, and what is it? It said to me, there's one place in all of human history to point to. If someone could say, well, there's someplace else, it was Rome. No. In a limited way, a little world. This is all the world. The first time, all of the world, all language, all people came together in one place. And if they can't see it financially, which they came together anyway, look at the United Nations. No place in all of human history has that ever been done. And there's no maybe somebody else. No, it's us. It's New York City. This book describes New York City being hit with a primitive, 10 kiloton Hiroshima-type weapon. And I'll go on and explain even further. They cut the financial head off the snake. They cut the political head off the snake. That's Washington. And they cut its jugular vein with the refinery south of Houston. I'm trying to wake our country up as to how vulnerable we are. I'm trying to scare people. Why not? They're lulled to sleep thinking, oh, well, who cares? We'll just watch the Super Bowl. That was a washout.
Yeah, it was. Well, now your book is called
on the radio.
Your book is called Survival After the Next Shoe Falls.
Right.
When you're talking about the survival, are you talking about the people that are left behind, or are you talking about a way to avert?
Well, I think personally, no matter where you live, I don't expect people to move off into the wilderness. I think they should try to get in shape, because no matter what you do, if you're packing an extra 25 pounds around, it ain't going to help you if you got to put a 50-pound pack on and walk, because you have to do it, and your life and your family depends on it. But it would be best to be out of harm's way. I'm not expecting people to evacuate New York City, but if people are interested in this, I would not the best thing to do, don't be there. I would advise people, it's kind of like back to the land movement. Leave the center city. If you really like it, you care about it, stay there. But if you believe this is a crisis, whether it's an atomic bomb, primitive atomic bomb, or a financial disruption that forces us to change overnight, it'll be like Katrina times 100 or 1,000. And look what that did. If they ever did this, what would we do? We'd have around New York City 20 million people that we couldn't deal with it. But if you were in New York City or New York State, you could be up the Catskills, up towards the Adirondacks. I mean, there's all kinds of things. If you were in Arizona, I don't expect even Phoenix to be a primary target, but if you're in L.A., you can work moving out, buy a little place. It can be a retreat. It can be a vacation place. And people say, how can I afford it? Don't buy that latte. Don't take a little close vacation and go fishing. Our over-urbanized culture has lost the natural elements of life.
Frank, where is this threat going to be coming from?
What? Repeat that.
Where's the threat going to be coming from that would destroy New York, for example?
The Muslim jihadists. That's where it would come from. And the components to build a primitive weapon are readily available within our own country. You don't have to haul it in. You just have to arm it. And unfortunately, you could probably get those components, the weapons-grade uranium or plutonium, right from our old facilities if they have jihadist moles within our own system. If not, it could come from Pakistan. Maybe the Iranians are ahead of the curve more than we realize. It could come from Korea. It could be stole through Russia. There's all kinds of possibilities. I mean, and then there's a financial problem. When we wind up with a true financial crisis, we'll wake up like 9/11. We'll wake up like Pearl Harbor, and it's the world as we know it has changed. And then it's in many ways too late. Not 100%. They're not going to. If they did hit these couple of targets, people would be so. I'm afraid they would be paranoid, not know what to do. I want to tell them what to do, not the way only it's described. You can live in Arizona and have your nice little place, have a few things put aside, be ready to weather a storm or two, whether it's financial or whatever. Hitting those strategic places that I mentioned, you're only talking about 30 kilotons. The Soviet Union, to give you an idea to keep it in perspective, detonated 58 megatons in the atmosphere in the early 60s. The world didn't become extinct. We've been brainwashed by the media, thinking, oh, it's nuclear winter. No, that's what makes it dangerous. I'm talking about 30 kilotons. That would be the equivalent, if what they detonated in the atmosphere, over 5,000 Hiroshimas. And you know what results we found from that? The amount of radiation and the likeness in Alaska went up for a while to a critical level. And people, there's a book, The Effects of Nuclear Weapons. It's the bottom line of information on them. It's available from the government. It's for almost nothing. It's on computer. I have a hard copy from years ago that I read many times. But it's the bottom line of understanding what we've been brainwashed through movies and whatnot as to the effects. It sounds kind of scary. Yes, it does, and that's what I'm trying to do in a way. I don't want to be paranoid, run around like with a Fruit Loop. You don't have to be. It's like my survival thing. I'm not out napping Flint. We live a relatively normal life. This was my calling, going out in the woods and living free as possible, chasing the American frontier to its absolute limit.
All right, if you would, please hold that thought, because we must take a break.
Okay.
And I want to continue on that very topic. We're going to take a break, and I want to invite our listeners, if you have a question, any comment you want to make on what we're discussing, give us a call, 928-854-5687. We will be right back.
Bradley Chevrolet is finding new roads and setting records. For the first time ever, Chevrolet sweeps Auto Week's North American Car and Truck of the Year. The all-new 2014 Corvette Stingray and the all-new 2014 Silverado 1500 are America's most appealing and enjoyable vehicles to own. You can find the North American Car and Truck of the Year at Bradley Chevrolet. Stronger, smarter, more capable. Bradley Chevrolet of Lake Havasu and Parker.
What do you think of my new ride?
Well, it looks like a box on wheels.
That there is an RV.
Ah, and where are you going to go with your RV?
Well, since the batteries are dead, just gonna leave it here in the desert.
Then what?
Then I'm gonna sit back and recreate.
Need new batteries for your motorhome or any other vehicle? There are over 300 authorized Interstate Battery dealers in the tri-state area. In Parker, see Arizona Batteries, River Lodge Resort, and Spanky's RV and Marine.
Interstate Batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Hundreds and hundreds of items are on sale right now at Patio Paradise. Hi, Ginger here to let you know we're holding our largest sale ever on home and garden decor. This is a huge sale, cash and carry, and all sale items are clearly marked with a red dot. Spruce up the yard, the living room, the patio, and save big. Remember, once they're gone, so are the savings. Don't miss this huge red dot cash and carry sale on home and garden decor at Patio Paradise on Capri and Mesquite in Lake Havasu City.
There's nothing like a good old fish fry, and there's not a better fish fry than Uncle Tom's Friday Night Fish Fry at Chagru's. Get your choice of cod, haddock, or salmon cooked any style. Blackened, martini baked, pan-fried, sautéed almondine, or deep-fried for just $13.95. Uncle Tom's Fish Fry includes New England clam chowder or garden salad, homemade coleslaw, and your choice of baked or stuffed potato, wild rice, French, or sweet potato fries. Get the whole plan together for Uncle Tom's Friday Night Fish Fry at Chagru's.
Come taste the wonders. Chagru's.
A guy walks into the shop with a bad hard drive. Hi, John here from Connected, where we make technology work. It's not a joke, and he had not backed up that computer in 6 months, potentially losing all his pictures, financial information, personal and business documents. To get it all back costs more than 10 times the price of a good backup system. Don't let this happen to you. Call us at 928-680-0041 and let us set up a plan to get your important stuff backed up. Smarter than the average geek and saving your bacon. Get connected.
Spring Perfect and your financial services, doing it right here. Your complete financial service center, our efforts never cease. We're the ones with hometown service and national expertise. From insurance solutions to financial planning, advice that's helpful and clear. Spring Perfect and your financial services, doing it right here.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to Speak Out. I'm Roger Galloway. We have, by the way, we lost a phone call just a moment ago. Please call back, 928-854-5687. Anyone have any questions or comments about what we're discussing? 854-5687. We're talking to Frank Walter on the phone right now. Very much a Renaissance man in many ways, a wilderness guy, lives in Alaska, has a book out called Survival After the Next Shoe Falls. What do you consider yourself being as far as an American is concerned?
Well, I consider myself a patriot, according to the ideals laid down in our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution. I believe these founding principles cannot be ignored. They must be maintained or we're nothing. And I do not believe in this so-called free trade. I believe in fair trade. But we've thrown the baby out with the bare bathwater. world that we are supposed to manage that surrounds us. And it's not this over-urbanized culture. There's far more to life than that. Oh, at one point, people might be interested in hearing. I don't know if you are personally familiar with this, but are you familiar with the book, Into the Wild?
Oh, as a matter of fact, I was actually going to ask you a great deal about that. It's not only a great book, it was a great movie. It's a story of Christopher McCandless.
Right.
Yes.
I lived downriver from where he unfortunately starved to death, and it was only because of his ignorance and thinking you could just walk off into the woods and I'll just do it when you had a .22 rifle. Well, you can live with a .22 rifle. That's not the point. I would not suggest that being the only weapon, but that's not the point. We lived downriver, the same watershed, and it was only his ignorance. I think about Hosea 5:6, where my people perish for lack of knowledge, and that was his shortcoming. He could have walked out of there, about a 15-mile hike to the south, and he'd come out to the Parks Highway. But there were all sorts of resources at his disposal that he did not know how to tap into, and this book I described, if New York was hit, and I was a little out away from it, so if you're blowing up, forget it. But how I would do it with almost nothing, and put into the back of a pickup truck the survival supplies to get you by, to get from here to there.
Of course, you got to get out of there way ahead of time, too.
Right. That's where, if you're in ground zero, well, you don't have to worry about any of this. And people have to make that choice. It's of their own volition. Now, I'm not trying to people make a mass exodus out of New York. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not New York. It's some other place. Maybe it's not even an atomic bomb. Maybe it's financial. I think of the hyperinflation of Germany in the 30s and how crazy it got. Or some scenario that I don't know. I said I'm no prophet. I don't know. But I know we are poised on the edge of a change in our nation, in world history yet to come. And I don't believe people are prepared. They don't want to think about the subject. It's too uncomfortable. And I wrote this to knock them out of their comfort zone. That's simple. I don't want the people to just, I know it makes people nervous. Well, get nervous.
Are you suggesting that people get to, like we're in a very rural part of the state, are you suggesting that in many places in the country they get into rural areas and get back into to nature and get away from the big city mentality?
In many ways, it's similar to the Back to the Land movement of the 70s, where because there was a valid truth, and there were a flock of people went out. Most of them didn't stick it out. A few did, but we're taught. I mean, our children have been taught in school about anti-Americanism, anti-nature, anti-God, to such a degree that we are being ruled over, from my perspective, by, I would say, a Fabian socialist, neo-Marxist oligarchy. I mean, if that's a mouthful for people to swallow, perhaps, but I really believe that is who's in control, and it's as if the people in our country don't care. So if you care, do something about it personally to take care of you personally, plus your family. If you can help your friends, your relatives, have at it. But I think we should wake up to the reality that we might face, individually and collectively. I mean, I don't want people just running or hiding under a rock. I didn't do that when I came out here. I mean, I had a greater appreciation for the unapproved works of God than the works of man. It was my calling. So this was no sacrifice.
Well, if you would, please hold on. We need to take another break. I'd like to ask you a little bit about someone who wanted to just get out, get away from everything. What should they take with them? What should they have? What do they need? What do they not need? We'll take a break and we'll come right back on that.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Now, is it elk season or is it deer season? Maybe it's dove season.
It's rabbit season. Duck season. I say it's duck season, and I say fire.
It's always shooting season at Sam's Shooters Emporium with Mojave County's largest indoor shooting range. And Thursdays, it's half-price day when you can use the range all day for just $5. Bring your guns or rent one of ours. Sam's Shooters Emporium, McCulloch Boulevard, just down from Macoma, downtown Lake Havasu.
Hi, this is Ginger from Patio Paradise with great news for pizza lovers. Now you can create pizzeria quality pizza on your own patio with the incredible new Pizzeria Pronto outdoor pizza oven. Cook a pizza perfectly in 5 minutes. Then it's ready for another, and since it heats with propane, the Pizzeria Pronto outdoor pizza oven is portable. Camping, tailgate parties, the Pronto outdoor pizza oven makes pizza easy, fun, and most of all, delicious. Come see it today at Patio Paradise, Mesquite and Capri in Lake Havasu.
If your bank doesn't treat you like a priority, no matter the size of your business, then think about this. New year, new bank. Switch to a bank that treats you like the local business person you are, not just a number. Horizon Community Bank provides you with business banking with a personal touch tailored to the size of your company for checking, saving, or loans to help your business operate and grow. Switch to a new bank this new year. Call Horizon Community Bank in Parker at 669-2366. OAC, member FDIC.
Bradley Chevrolet is finding new roads and setting records. For the first time ever, Chevrolet sweeps Auto Week's North American Car and Truck of the Year. The all-new 2014 Corvette Stingray and the all-new 2014 Silverado 1500 are America's most appealing and enjoyable vehicles to own. You can find the North American Car and Truck of the Year at Bradley Chevrolet. Stronger, smarter, more capable. Bradley Chevrolet of Lake Havasu and Parker.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. The difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. Studies prove that reading to a child regularly dramatically improves reading skills, and kids who read well by 3rd grade are 4 times as likely to graduate. So United Way is calling for 1 million volunteers over the next 3 years. We're asking you to step up, make a pledge, tutor a child who needs help, mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Make a difference. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Entire communities improve. The path to success or failure starts long before graduation day. And the difference between a graduate and a dropout could be you. Be a reader, tutor or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge. Go to liveunited.org now. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to Speak Out. I'm Roger Galloway. Very interesting guest we have on with us right now is Frank Walter. We're talking to him from Alaska. He has a book called Survival After the Next Shoe Falls. We're talking at some length about some worries, some major concerns that he has. Certainly about the possibility, you believe that a terrorist attack will occur at some point and hit New York City, right?
Yes, I understand surveys that were taken. Over 70% of the people in our country believe that this will take place sometime. And most of them say, well, hopefully it's when I'm dead, but later on, but not now. Nobody wants to hear. What if this happens soon, like tomorrow, like 9/11, like when Pearl Harbor was struck, like Katrina, when all of a sudden there it is, it's in your lap, and if you're not ready or you haven't prepared beforehand, which I think is the best course to take, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I want to awaken people to this, knock them out of their comfort zone, and say, you know what, I think there's a better life than living in the midst of the cities that with all the congestion and the pollution and whatnot. There's a better way to live, and you don't have to live like a primitive savage. You can live in a rural town. You can live a rural address along some whatever road.
Well, you lived a pretty primitive life when you started out there in Alaska. When you went there, there wasn't. Everything there was pretty natural, right? Did you build a cabin from scratch? How did that come
I built 26 cabins. Most of them are little line cabins. On the trap line, but I've built lots of cabins. I've worked like a mule, literally.
And you had 4 sons that you raised. Well, all of them are like-minded like you, or is there at least one of those sons, maybe the black sheep in the family, says, I got to get to a big city. I got to get out of here. Or do they all pretty much share your viewpoint?
They're pretty rural. They're pretty much to it. They scattered. I told them, look, don't. My dream was not necessarily their dream. They wanted to see the lower 48. The son works on the barges of the Mississippi, and he wanted to and he's at the life. I felt about hitting Houston, the refinery south of Houston. Well, he works. He's been there. He works on the Mississippi, and he's been up and down. And this is the lifeblood of our nation. The mainstream, the strongest, most vital artery is the Mississippi. It still is, in spite of L.A. and whatever. It still is the Mississippi. And cut that out, and you've cut everything. And the one son lives about, he has a plane. He'll fly out this weekend. And he goes to the remote mines, and he's a skilled mechanic. He'll go in there. If you can break it, he can fix it. That kind of mechanic. And he's schooled. He went to his school, and he worked with the old-time miners, which is probably as much of a school as going to get his 2-year degree in diesel mechanics, which he did in 1.
How far away were you from where you had these cabins, these various cabins? How far away was a town, or where you could get supplies and get,
we lived on, 240 miles.
No. Whoa.
I was on the Nowetna. I used to be on the Anoco. I used to be up in Shinjek. I mean, I chased this dream of mine all over interior Alaska, and I've done it for actually, before I met my wife, almost 49 years this spring. This is my life. It's what I am. That's all there is. And,
what about her? Was she fully accepting of doing this, going on the same journey with you?
She was 1 in a billion. She was the daughter of a bush pilot. She always wanted somebody who wanted to live out. She would spend the summer in different small villages and at fish camps, and she couldn't find anyone. I met her when I was in town at the young man bar hopping, as a guy will do when they went to town, and she was a go-go dancer. I met her dancing at a place called Tellon's, and we met, and right off the stage, we took off together. That's how we met. I'm a Christian today, and I would say this is not great. I'm not holier than thou, by the way. And this is the way we met. It's like a storybook, but it's the truth. And she's a little bashful about it today. And she's gained about 5 pounds since we met. I've gained about 5 pounds. So we're in pretty good shape. And it's the way we met. It's like a modern fantasy. I can't help it. Remember people talking to me. I tell them the truth, and you know what? They said to me, your truth is bigger than our BS. And I'm not trying to brag. I'm trying to tell the truth. That's how we met. And we've hardly been apart ever since.
Now you've lived off the land, right? As far as eating and everything.
I got flour, beans, rice. We have a big garden. We catch fish. I hunt moose, bears, caribou, depending on where we were. It's like outside. You can't live like this out there, but you can hunt deer. You can have a garden. You have to study the nature of the land of where you work. Start at the Agricultural Extension Service in whatever state you're in. Go to the library. We said, get in shape. This doesn't cost anything. You'll be better health. Strive towards getting a more rural lifestyle. It doesn't. Back the north is people can say it's hungry. It is, but it's sterile and it's pure, and as close to pure as you possibly can get, which enables us to grow things, to do things with a great deal of ease. So limitedly, for example, in a garden, we have to deal with the hardy stuff, but it thrives.
What about, like, you're out there in the wilderness all those many years, the law of averages simply says that sometime, sooner or another, there's going to be some kind of injury. You're going to get...
I've had a few.
You've had a few. So how do you deal with them?
Oh, the most I've ever done was busted a few fingers, and I had a son, a broken arm, which I had to reset with a simple break. And fortunately, we have 2. If it's like the other one, and it's you can just feel down and just set it and keep it in place. You can deal with stuff like that. I delivered 2 of our sons at home as the attending physician. People should study medical stuff. You should have the proper tools. You should have, if you have any sort of sickness, you should have additional medical supplies. All sorts of things, which I go over in this book. from a certain perspective. And we do have a new book coming out that's straight survival, the Family's Guide to Survival, but it won't be out for quite a while. And maybe I should mention this while I have a chance. I have another older book called Gypsies of God that's available. And by the way, these books are available on Amazon. And check out our Facebook. It will be an education because you'll understand me and my family a lot better. I couldn't do it. My wife had a daughter before. I'm not going to go over every detail of her history. And she lives in Michigan. She works as my agent. And anyway, she's the one that does this. I'm computer illiterate. It wasn't for her. It wasn't for my wife. It wasn't for the kids. I couldn't do this on my own. I have an 8th grade education. Not even that. Never even went through elementary school. So I just never fit quite in.
Is your family your sole social circle? Do you have other friends that are not too far away that you communicate with or meet with? I have friends that
live similarly, or have friends that are guides, friends that are trappers. It's a small circle of people because we live different. And I have friends that are missionaries that fly out. Now and then they stop in and say hi. Things like that, but I don't have a large circle of friends because you can't. But it's better to have good friends. It's better to have good friends.
You've never noticed that. You've never noticed that. It seems like I was going to say you have no feelings of regret. You have no feelings of regret. No feelings of missing Let me ask you this. We just let it go. Let you on another time and have you on another time and other different examples on a couple of other topics which you brought up in the previous time this morning, which we got this morning. I'm wondering, somebody that's out there, I'm wondering if it's a desert out there, or a desert, or Alaska, who needs to survive, but they go away for a couple of days, they go away for whatever reason, days, and they get no water, and we know water. What other items would you say that is critical that they have with them?
Well, being water is a major critical thing, for example, in California. I believe they have to have something to purify whatever water they find. And a simple formula would be, if you have clear water, is to put a quarter teaspoon into a 5-gallon bucket and stir it up and let it sit for 20 minutes. If it's cloudy at all, use a half a teaspoon. But I would rather put a half a teaspoon into unknown water. But this will not remove dangerous chemicals if you're in an urban area. See, that's the problem. And there's dangerous stuff that stuff will make you deathly sick or kill you. You can't see it. And no little bit of chlorine bleach is going to kill it. So that's a factor here again. Water is more important than food. You can go without food for like 40 days, but you can't go without water, especially if you were in the desert and you're being pushed for a couple of days. You're dead meat. It doesn't take long. So water is a primary, and even in sheer poundage of what you can haul, you have to have a good water source that you can depend on. It's an absolute must. And if you have to bring it with you, if you have to get from here to there, well, then make sure you have sufficient water. It's even more vital than extra food if you had to go from here to there. But how about a vehicle that you say, I can put this is what this book describes, 500 pounds that I could put in the back of my pickup truck, and me, the wife, and the kids can take off, and we've got a fighting chance. And without that, you're going to have I don't know what to say.
Well, I appreciate this. Listen, you've been a very, very interesting guest, and to say the least, and I admire, and I think a lot of other people do too, listening in right now, what you have done and the many years you've been out there, and some good advice that you gave us as well. The main book we want to talk about, and thank you for being on the show, is Survival After the Next Shoe Falls. You can get it on Amazon. Frank Walter, thank you very much, and we'll contact you soon and have you on again for sure.
Thank you. Check out our Facebook. It'll be fun.
All right. Take care.
Hey, John, I